The Battle of Ain Jalut was one of the most critical battles in the history of the Islamic world. This is the battle that saved the Islamic nations from annihilation at the hands of the Mongols. And this is the battle that stopped the Mongolian advance towards Mecca and Madinah. This is the story of Ain Jalut and the man who led the Muslims to victory, Saifudin Qutuz.
ومن ينفق الساعات في جمع ماله مخافة فقر فالذي فعل الفقر
وإذا ظلمت فإن ظلمي باسل مر مذاقته كطعم العلقم.
ألم تعلمي أني إذا الضيف نابني وعز القرى أقري السديف المسرهدة.
The Mongols under Genghis Khan had swept across China and finally reached the Muslim world. They attacked the Khwarizmi Empire. City after city fell, and the Mongols raped and pillaged and burned entire cities to the ground. People thought that the Mongols were invisible, and the Muslims were so terrified that Ibn Athir, the historian, says he heard of incidents where a single Mongol man would enter upon 100 Muslims and start killing them one by one, and not a single person would dare to fight back because of how terrified they were. In another incident, a Mongol man wanted to kill a Muslim, and he could not find a sword, so he told the Muslim to wait, and he went looking for a sword, and the Muslim waited obediently until the Mongol came back and killed him. This was a dark time for Islam and Muslims. But things were about to change. When the Mongols sacked the Khwarizmi forts, they had taken a boy captive. This boy grew up with the Mongols, and he was vicious and brave. And because of this, they gave him a name. They called him the vicious dog. And in their language, this was Qutuz. Eventually, they decided to sell him to an Arab merchant. And after changing many owners, he finally ended up joining the Mamluks. The Mamluks were a group of slave warriors who were purchased as young boys and trained to become skilled fighters and to form an elite army that defended the Sultanate. The Mamluks were highly respected and not seen as slaves. And Qutuz rose through the ranks to become one of the commanders of the Mamluks. A strange succession of events followed, which would put the Mamluks at the seat of the power of the Sultanate. When the Sultan Najmuddin al-Ayyubi died, his wife Shajaratud Dur seized power. She was an ambitious woman. This was unheard of in the Islamic world, that a woman would become their leader. Shajaratud Dur quickly realized that the people will never accept her as their sultana. So she decided she will marry a man whom she could control and manipulate, and thus retain her rule in his name. The man she chose for this was Izzuddin Aybak, the man who had purchased Qutuz. She had greatly underestimated the man because she found out very soon that she was losing her hold on the matters of the state. While she was already enraged about the loss of power, Izzuddin went even further and added fuel to the flame. He proposed to marry a neighboring princess. Shajaratud Dur was so overcome with jealousy that she ordered her servants to murder Aybak while he was taking a bath. Then she claimed that he had fallen and died. The Mamluks, led by Qutuz, realized her plot, and they arrested and killed her. By now, Saifudin Qutuz had risen to become the deputy sultan, and he had the helms of the sultanate in his hands. He had become the virtual ruler, and the 15-year-old son of Aybak was only a ruler by name. By now, the Mongolian armies had massacred the Khwarizmis, the Ismailis, the Ayyubis, and the Abbasis. The Mamluk Empire was the last stronghold of the Muslim world. Qutuz knew that the Mongols would soon be at his doorstep. He decided to expel the young caliph and seize power for himself. He said, "La budda min sultanin qahirin yuqatilu hadha al-adu والملك الصبي صغير لا يعرف تدبير الملك. There has to be a powerful sultan to fight this enemy, and the young king is only a boy, and he does not know the matters of ruling. He told the emirs and commanders, إني ما قصدت إلا أن نجتمع على قتال التتار ولا يأتي ذلك بغير ملك فإذا خرجنا وكسرنا هذا العدو فالأمر لكم أقيموا في السلطنة من شئتم. I intend only for us to unite in fighting the Tatar, and that is not possible except through power. So if we go out and break this enemy, then I leave the matter to you. Choose whoever you want to be the new sultan. He began preparing the armies. He wanted to impose a special tax on the people in order to equip the army. For this, he consulted the respected scholar Al-Izz ibn Abd salam. Al-Izz ibn Abd salam issued a fatwa saying that it is not permissible to take anything from the people until the Baytul Mal or the treasury was completely empty. He also said that all the nobles and commanders had to sell all their properties and valuables until they become equal to the common folk. Only then can you impose a tax upon the people. Following this advice, Qutuz sold all his properties first, and then he asked the nobles to do the same. Soon enough, the message came. 4 Mongol messengers brought a letter written in Arabic, parts of which read, يعلم الملك المظفر قطز وسائر أمراء دولته وأهل مملكته بالديار المصرية وما حولها من الأعمال أنا نحن جند الله في أرضه خلقنا من سخطه وسلطنا على من حل به غضبه. The king Muzaffar Qutuz, the rest of the leaders of his nation, and the people of Egypt and its neighbors know that we are the army of Allah on his earth. We were created out of his displeasure and unleashed upon whom his anger has descended. In reply, Qutuz had the messengers cut in half and displayed their heads on the city gates. On Friday, the 24th of Ramadan, 658 Hijri, the Muslims prepared for battle. Hulagu Khan had returned to Mongolia for the election of the new Khan. He had left 20,000 troops with the experienced commander Kitbuqa. In the valley of Ain Jalut, the Mongols saw the Muslim armies advancing, led by the skilled Mamluk commander Ruknuddin Baybars. Kitbuqa saw something different about this Muslim army, something he had not seen before. They were organized and prepared. The battle drums beat specific rhythms which carried specific commands and instructions for the soldiers. For the first time, Kitbuqa did not see fear in the eyes of the Muslims. Kitbuqa ordered an all-out attack. The Mongol warriors plunged into battle. Fierce fighting ensued. Slowly, it seemed that the Muslims could not contain the Mongol advance, and they started giving ground. Little did the Mongols know that Ruknuddin Baybars was executing a highly skillful military tactic called a feigned retreat. Kitbuqa never imagined that the Muslims would be able to use their own tactics against them. Giving ground, the Muslims were pulling the Mongols into a trap. Nearby in the hills, covered by the trees, Qutuz waited with the rest of his army. Qutuz ordered his troops to attack, enveloping the sides of the Mongol army. Although surprised, the Mongols did not give in. They fought with typical Mongolian ferocity. The Muslim left flank started taking heavy losses. If broken, the Mongols could envelop the Muslims from behind. Seeing the threat, Qutuz set out with his troops to aid the left flank. The Mongols refused to weaken, fighting relentlessly. Qutbuqa said, "We must die here. This is the end. Long life and happiness to the Khan." Qutuz knew he had to do something. He threw his helmet to the ground, showing his troops that he is ready to give his life for Islam. He shouted at the top of his voice, "Wa Islamah! Wa Islamah! O Islam! O Islam!" And he plunged himself into the battle. Seeing the bravery of their leader, the Muslim army was invigorated. The Mongols were finally broken. Qutbuqa was captured. The Mongolian army was almost completely destroyed. The myth of Mongolian invisibility was finally shattered. This victory would change everything. This had brought lost hope and courage back into the Muslim world. The Mongols would never be able to avenge this battle, and this is the battle that stopped their further advance into the Muslim world. Islam was saved, and the King Muzaffar Qutuz would forever be known as the Lion of Ain Jalut. Thank you for watching till the very end. Are you interested in learning Arabic so you can understand the Quran, Hadith, and the classical books of Arabic literature? Please check out our Arabic immersion packages, which I will link to in the description. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.